and motivation for becoming an entrepreneur. Now, just look at this picture. This is a picture of late Dhirubhai Ambani, and the motto that he has given, the famous lines of Dhirubhai Ambani is think big, think fast, think ahead. Ideas are no one's monopoly. And this is also reflected in the working of Reliance, in the working of Dhirubhai Ambani, that whatever he did it in a bigger way. He did it fast. He did it first before anyone else. Okay. And ultimately using this principle that think big, think fast, and think ahead of anyone else, he has created a giant like Reliance Industries Limited. Now the question is, what was the motivation behind him? What motivates him to become an entrepreneur? He was an employee working in one of the petrol pump in Middle East, but ultimately he left his job, came back to India, and started thinking to become an entrepreneur. What was so special about that? What motivates him? Today we shall be discussing about these things, the motivation part, and why he has taken up entrepreneurship as a career. Because knowingly fully well that if he is going for a business, this is totally full of uncertainties. There will be lot of challenges, lot of problems than simply to work for someone else. If like he would have been working for someone else, he might have been promoted, he might be made the manager of that firm, he might be made even he might be given even a bigger position for that entire firm, and he would have a very smooth life. He did not had to face all those challenges, all those criticisms which he had faced as an entrepreneur, but still he has gone for becoming an entrepreneur. What motivates him? This is a very interesting question. Karsan Bhai Patel, just look at this picture. You must be knowing him, the founder of Nirma. And what he was doing? He was just making and selling detergent powder at 3 rupees per kg. And ultimately, in the process of making and selling detergent powder at the rate of rupees 3 per kg, and now ultimately he founded Nirma Group, and he is now having 18,000 plus number of employees, turnover of, it is an old slide, at that time it was 7,000 crore, now it may be around 10,000 crores. What motivates him? There are thousands and thousands of people, small businessmen, spreading across the length and breadth of this world, doing small businesses. They start small business, they keep on doing small businesses, and they die doing small businesses, but they never dream to become an entrepreneur of such a big stature. Now the question is, what motivates him? Why Karsan Bhai Patel have decided to take all the trouble to found Nirma Group? Why he had chosen this path? His life would have been very comfortable if he would have remained at the previous position. A small businessman, he would have been very happy. This founder of Make My Trip, this new generation entrepreneurship, why? He has created a niche market. He has created a market which didn't exist, that Make My Trip. He is running a company which without having a single airline or without having a single vehicle, whether you have to travel using whatever means of transportation, or at least airways, just use this Make My Trip, and he is having that. This is a techno entrepreneur. This is an example of techno entrepreneur. This Mahase Dharampal Gulati, MDH Masala, he recently died at the age of 95, 98. Now, he was looking so young even at the age of 95. And the brand he has created, MDH Masala, the passion he had for his own business, definitely this would not have been possible had it not been a case of sheer motivation, exceptional motivation, exceptionally motivated people, that he will be creating a brand even at the age of even at the age of 90 plus, which will be having a impression mark in the mind of the people. What will be so is so special about that his personality, his persona, that he is so passionate about his masala? And remember, he is not a new generation entrepreneur. He is not an entrepreneur like Dhirubhai Ambani or Anand Mahindra or Karsanbhai Patel. He is dealing with very small thing, masala, which is used by almost all the homemakers in the kitchen, which is not taken very seriously by the people, but ultimately he has passion for his taste, his spices, that MDH Masala is becoming a brand. So this is also giving us an impetus to talk about the motivation behind becoming an entrepreneur. Patricia Narayan, there was a fire in me that made me believe that I could be successful without anyone's help. I did not want to be a failure. If you have that fire, nothing in the world can stop you from succeeding. Narayan Murthy, at that time, being a computer engineer, he could have a very comfortable life, but he decided to go for his own venture. And remember, when Narayan Murthy had to start his own business, Infosys, he was not having money, and he had to mortgage the jewelry of his wife Sudha Murthy, and using that money he has founded Infosys. Okay. He had been offered a job in many foreign countries, but he has decided to serve his own country. He has decided to found his own company, Infosys, and now Infosys, it does not require any introduction. Infosys is a brand, and now many people, many young graduates, many BTech students of ours, Infosys is one of the biggest recruiter of BTech students, BTech computer science people. And all this would have been possible because one person like Narayan Murthy, or maybe Subramaniam of TCS, or Nandan Nilekani has dreamt of creating a company like Infosys, and now it is not only earning revenue for itself, but it is becoming a dream. It is fulfilling the dream of thousands and thousands of computer science graduates. And number two, this is also becoming a brand and helping in making India or taking India to attach pride and dignity to its brand made in India. Infosys is the brand made in India. Okay. This is a new generation entrepreneur, Ola Cars, and these two people have also thought that in order to become an entrepreneur, like unlike Dhirubhai Ambani who believed that you always need to be the first, these two people have thought that you need not to be first always. Sometimes it's better to be second, because they have got this idea of running this Ola or creating this company called Ola from Uber. Uber was outside India. They got this idea and ultimately they just replicated the idea, the technology of Uber with certain addition, certain modification to suit Indian conditions. And now Ola is a bigger brand than Uber, at least in India. So these two people have thought that you need not to always be the first to do any business, to do any big business, to do any technology driven business. Sometimes you can be second also, and there is no harm in becoming second. This is the founder of Oyo, Ritesh Agarwal. What opportunity he had seen? Number one, this is also an example of techno entrepreneur, technology driven entrepreneur, new generation entrepreneur. And number two, in order to use something, in order to own something, in order to like create something of your own, some brand of your own, you need not to own that product. Now, what opportunity he had seen? That 90% hotels in India are unbranded hotels. In B class B and class C category of towns, 90% of the hotels are actually, they are not branded hotels. And now Oyo have just given its name and just try to maintain a minimum level of quality, assure the minimum level of quality and services, and so that people just looking at the brand Oyo. Oyo full form is on your own. On your own. Like just looking at the brand Oyo, people will be assured of certain minimum level of standard and quality in services. And ultimately he has done it. He has revolutionized the entire hospitality industry. Oyo. Paytm. We have already discussed a lot of things about Paytm, so we will not be going, but ultimately this Paytm, sometimes like a business is created for one objective, but some other things are also incidental there too, and that business become very successful. Paytm was initially started to deal with the problem of small denomination coins. That if you are going to a particular shop, your bill is say around 93 rupees, you are giving a note of 100 rupees, and there was every possibility that the shopkeeper will not return you 7 rupees, and instead of returning 7 rupees, he or she will be giving you some chocolates or some product which you don't need, and ultimately when you count it at the end of the day, you will be end up buying a product say approximately 20, 25, 30 rupees, which you don't need at all, but you have to buy because there was no change either with you or with the shopkeeper, and ultimately you have to buy or you have to forego that amount. So Paytm was initially started to deal with the problem of small denomination coins. Then later on, people have started using it as a means of transferring money, transmitting money, and now just a catalyst was the demonetization. When demonetization happened, now people are forcefully using this Paytm. It has given a boost to the use of Paytm or Phone Pay or Google Pay, such kind of technologies. Okay. So this was the ultimately now Paytm is such a big brand that now it is coming up with an IPO, initial public offer, and it is going to be listed in stock exchanges, Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange of India very soon. So this is, now the question is, what motivates Mr. Bansal to start Paytm, or Mr. Bansal or Mr. Agarwal, Harish Agarwal, Ritesh Agarwal, so and so forth. What was so exciting about them? They were computer graduates. They could have simply run their life simply working in for some big corporates like Microsoft or Google or Infosys or Amazon, but they have given up their job and ultimately they think of starting their own business. The previous picture was of like Snapdeal, like he was working the Flipkart, the owner of Flipkart, he was working for some Amazon, and ultimately he think that he will be. You just look at the vision of Flipkart, you will find that to become the Amazon of India. So he was working for Amazon, and he thought to create something which will be a competitor, truly a competitor of Amazon, and Indian model, Indian version, which will be serving Indian people. The profits will be retained in India, will be shared by the Indian people, everything Indian values. So this was the kind of motivation these people had, and they had decided to go for entrepreneurship as a career. So the point is, entrepreneurship is not an accident. It is not accident. It is not like just accidental prime minister, that someone become prime minister just by virtue of some accident happen, some calculation, some by luck. And this in entrepreneurship is not an accident. One can make profit maybe accidentally, but in order to be continuously successful, continuously grow, it's not accidental. It needs determination, it needs passion, it needs planning, it needs vision. So entrepreneurship is not an accident, but an ambition or aspiration nourished over a period of time. An ambition or aspiration nourished over a period of time. It does not happen overnight. It is over a period of time. People kept on dreaming, kept on thinking, or kept on working on a particular project, and then it become a successful venture. Entrepreneurship is largely the product of motivation. So that motivation is the key. As we have seen in all the previous slides, that all these people, whether starting from the Dhirubhai Ambani to Mr. Bansal, all these people are extremely motivated people. They belong to a very well-to-do family, most of them, and the life would have been very comfortable had they not done anything. At least for them, they would have lived their life very comfortably, very aristocratically. But there was something, some motivation in them, some fire in them, that inspires them to go for an entrepreneurship, to go for having their own venture, to create something new, to create something of their own. So that was an entrepreneurship motivation. So motivation is a managerial function. So when you are thinking you are going to become a manager, so motivation is a managerial function. The job of a manager is to motivate its employee. So that's why the motivation is a managerial function of ascertaining the motives. Managerial function of ascertaining the motives. Whose motives? Of subordinates. As a manager, you have to continuously motivate your subordinates. And how will you motivate them? Helping them to realize those motives. You have to continuously place before them that these are your motives, and if you achieve this much, if you do this much, then you will be able to achieve this much in your life, this much at the end of the month, this much at the end of the year, this much at the end of the career. So that's why it is said that motivation is a managerial function of ascertaining the motives. You have to ascertain the motives. For everyone, for every employee who is working under you, the motivation is not the same. The employee at the entry level, they might have a different level of motivation than the employee who was relatively at a higher level. And now what will be those motivations we'll discuss. For example, an employee who has recently joined your organization, he will not be motivated by this excellence. He will not be motivated by the fact that you will be giving him some reward, some recognition. But an employee who has just joined your organization, for him money will be the biggest motivator, because he has not seen money for most part of his life, because he was a student and he had to be dependent on his parents' income, parents' money, and that's why he may not be having sufficient money to spend, and that's why when he will be joining your organization, so the money will be the biggest motivator for him. But gradually when he will be starting or she will be starting earning money, maybe he has done the job for 3 years or 4 years, now money is not the motivator for him. And if you just say him that uh, you work this much extra, you will be given 500 rupees more, that person might not be thinking of doing that job and just to earn that 500 or 1000 bucks extra. So that's why motivation is a managerial function of ascertaining the motives. As a manager, you have to ascertain the motive of your employee. You have to understand what motivates them to work. And remember, as I told you, that all the employees are not motivated by the same motive. For some employee, for some people, they will be motivated due to money. Some people will be motivated due to reward. Some people will be motivated due to recognition. Some people will be motivated because of nationalism or patriotism. So it will be different for different people, and that's why as a manager you have to ascertain their motives. Whose motives? Your subordinates. Because ultimately you have to motivate your subordinates, because they will be working under you as a team, and your subordinates will help you to realize your objective. Now, what are the elements of motivation? So the elements of motivation, first one is the need. Now you have to understand the need of the people to whom you want to motivate. Now, what is need? The need is the very basic element, basic basic instinct that someone wants to fulfill. Like second is the drives and the goals. Need, that is like you are feeling thirsty. So what is your need? So need is that you want water. Now your need is to satisfy your thirst, because you are feeling thirsty, and your need is to satisfy your thirst. And in order to satisfy your thirst, what you wants are the means to satisfy your needs. You have to be very careful while defining the terms needs and wants and desire. Need, want and desire. Now needs are the very basic elements in some person's motivation. What motivates a person? So needs are the very basic instincts. So needs, like you are feeling thirsty, so what you need? Your immediate need is to satisfy your thirst. Okay, and in order to satisfy your thirst, what you want? Now your wants will be dependent on various situations. It depends upon your status, your bargaining power, your monetary power, everything. Now if you have enough money and you want to satisfy your thirst, you can go for mineral water, you can go for soft drinks like Thumbs Up, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, you can go for soda, you can go for lime water, you can go for lemon juice. These are the wants. Okay, out of all this, what you desire? Okay, all these things are capable of satisfying your thirst. So these are the wants, but what is your desire? You like lemon water more than anything else, so that is your desire. Or you want one bottle of Coca-Cola more than a simple plain water or lemon water, so that is your desire. So needs are the basic things. In order to satisfy your needs, there will be some other things, some means to satisfy your needs. They are called wants, and out of those wants, one thing that you desire most is your desire. So these are the elements of motivation. You need to understand what will be the elements of motivation. Then drives. What drives you? Like the drives are the elements that you can say that it's a kick that gives a person to do a particular job. And what is your goal? So the needs, drives, and goals. Got it? Goal means, yeah, the objective, the long-term objective, what you want to achieve. If you want to uh, become an MBA at the end of 2 years, that is your goal. What drives you? Your inner instincts are driving you to pursue a goal. And what is your need? To become an educated. Your need can be to achieve a managerial position. This is your need. And in order to achieve a managerial position, to achieve promotion in your organization, what drives you? That your inner will is driving you to go for a higher education, and ultimately your goal is to achieve MBA degree at the end of 2 years. So these are the elements of motivation. If any one of these three are lacking, suppose you want to have an MBA but there is no drive, there is no motivation, like there is no kick, that if you hate studies, you don't like to study, that there is no drive, the need is there, goal is there, but you will not be motivated. You want to study, there is a goal that you want to become an MBA after 2 years, but there is no need. Need means, you know that after doing MBA, like your company will not value you, your society will not give you any value, there is no need for an educated person in the society, so then also you will not be motivated. And there is a need for educated person in the society, you have a drive also, you have this kick also to become an MBA, but there is no goal. Someone is not able to show you the appropriate goal, that how you to become an MBA after 2 years, then also you will not be motivated. So these three things are essential in order to become in order to motivate. So that these are the three elements of motivation. Now come to this motivation part. Now what is motivation? Motivation has been derived from the word motive. It is inner state of our mind that moves or activates or energizes and directs our behavior towards our goal. And according to Dalton E. McFarland, motivation refers to the way in which urges, drives, desire, striving, aspirations, or needs direct, control, or explain the behavior of human being. The unsatisfied needs of a person are the beginning of the motivational process. If he is successful in achieving his goals, certain other needs will emerge which will lead to setting a new goal. And if the goal is not achieved, the individual will engage himself in either constructive or destructive behavior. Now we'll come to this, we are understanding this. Why a person will motivate? So first thing is that there has to be an unsatisfied need. Now in our example of thirst and water, a person will be motivated to have water if he has unsatisfied need of satisfying his thirst. If the person is thirsty, then only he will be motivated to look after some source of water. And if he is successful in achieving his goals, if he is successful in achieving a source of water, he will satisfy his thirst. Now at least he will not work hard to find out a source of fresh water to satisfy his thirst. This will no longer be a motivator for that person. But what motivates him? Suppose after satisfying his thirst, that person or her thirst, that person is feeling hungry also. And suppose you are offering him one bottle of water, that you take this bottle of water and in exchange of, or instead on behalf of taking this one bottle of water, you do a particular task. But as his thirst is already satisfied, he is not feeling thirsty, his thirst need is satisfied, he will not be taking your one bottle of water very seriously to do any job on behalf of you. because now his immediate need is that he's feeling very hungry. He's not thirsty, but he's hungry. The water can satisfy his hunger little a bit, but he wants some food to eat. And then if you offer that, okay, I will be giving you one plate of uh, some burgers or pizza or food instead of, if you do particular job, then he might be thinking of doing that job for getting that food. So if he is successful in achieving his goals, then what is his goal? To satisfy his thirst. Certain other needs will emerge. So now thirst will no longer be a motivator for him, but some other needs will emerge. Maybe hunger, maybe shelter, maybe cloth, maybe some other things, which will lead to setting a new goal. And then the goal will be shifted. Earlier the goal was to find out a source of fresh water to satisfy his thirst. Now since his thirst is satisfied, his hunger is satisfied, now he will be looking after a new goal. Suppose he is not having appropriate clothes to wear, so he will be looking after something that will give him appropriate clothes to wear. And if the goal is not achieved, the individual will engage himself in either constructive or destructive behavior. And if he is not able to get some suitable clothes to wear, he will engage in constructive behavior, that he will be working hard to earn some money to get clothes, or he can be engaging himself or herself in some destructive behavior, that snatching someone, looting someone, or robbing or theft to get that particular, to satisfy his needs. So this is just the basics of motivation. So this is just understood, explained with the help of one diagram. First of all, there has to be some unsatisfied needs. The needs are unsatisfied, and when there are some needs which are unsatisfied, he will be so when there will be some unsatisfied needs, then this will create some tension. Okay. Now when these unsatisfied needs will be there, this tension will be created. He or she will be start searching about some means to satisfy his needs. The needs can be, in our previous example it was water. Now here the needs can be getting a job, or getting some projects approved, getting some new business, getting some licenses, anything. Some unsatisfied need is there, and when there will be unsatisfied needs, there will be tension. Remember, tension can never be created with the satisfied needs. When there will be some unsatisfied needs, then only there will be tension. And when there will be tension, that drives him. There will be certain drives. Okay, that some kick, जिसको हम लोग बोलते हैं, some kick will be there, which tension will lead him to do certain actions. Drives मतलब कुछ action होगा, some he will start looking after something, and ultimately he will be able to find something, some course of action, and he will be working towards that. Then there will be many drives, so he will be starting searching one after another. So search behavior will be there, and one such search might fulfill his unsatisfied needs. And once his unsatisfied needs are, his search behavior is complete, his need will be fulfilled. And when his need will be fulfilled, it will reduce the tension, and when the tension will be reduced, there will be another unsatisfied needs. Another unsatisfied need will be there. So this is how this entire motivation it works. Now let us talk about these theories of motivation. There are certain theories. There are actually many theories of motivation, but here we will be discussing about the two theories. Maslow's need hierarchy theory. Now Maslow says that there is a hierarchy of the needs. We have just discussed about these needs, and this need, as per Maslow, these needs are also having certain hierarchy. And McClelland's acquired needs theory. Now Maslow's need hierarchy theory. What is Maslow's need hierarchy theory? Needs we have already discussed. And now Abraham Maslow, he came up with an idea that the needs are also having certain hierarchy. Hierarchy means from most important to the least important, one hierarchy will be there. Higher order needs to the lower order needs. हायरार्की एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में होता है ना कि जैसे ऊपर से नीचे बॉस होता है, मैनेजर हो गया, देन उसका असिस्टेंट मैनेजर, सुपरवाइजर, फोरमैन, देन वर्कर, एंड हायरार्की इज देयर. So as per Maslow, these needs are also having certain hierarchy. And now what is that hierarchy? Maslow says that first need that is a person always tries to fulfill is the physiological needs. And these are the basic level needs. Physiological, which related to the physiology of a person, like food, water, shelter, sex, money. These are the basic needs a person has. Okay, and according to Maslow, these are the first need that a person always tries to fulfill. So the moment a person joins one organization, his physiological needs are very important, or her physiological needs are most important, because most probably a person will be joining an organization, and suppose that person is not having a very sound financial background. So whatever his immediate need is to get clothing for his family, good food for his family, good food for himself, good house for his family, getting married. So these are the physiological needs, and that's why a person at the beginning of his career will be working towards to achieve these physiological needs. As a manager, you have to understand like a person is in which category of needs, and the person, if he is in the entry level of his career, definitely he will be motivated by the physiological needs. But Maslow says that once these physiological needs are fulfilled, then these physiological needs will no longer be a motivator. Like a person who was hungry before getting a job, who was not having a good house to live before getting a job, now once he got a job in a good company, a good organization, now he is getting regular salary, and after in the initial month, this money will be motivator for him. And suppose if he is given some extra incentive to work some extra hours, definitely that person will be working in order to earn some more money. But say after 2, 3, 4 years, when he is settled, his physiological needs are fulfilled, now his physiological needs will no longer be motivator for that person. So if a person who is already working in a good organization for last 3, 4 years, and you just offer him that you stay here in the company for extra 1 hour, you will be paid 500 rupees or 1000 rupees, there is every possibility that that person will not accept that, and he will go home, बोलेगा कि आज मुझे घर जल्दी जाना है, बच्चों के साथ खेलना है, बाजार जाना है, त्योहार मनाना है, and he will leave early, he will not stay. But and so that's meaning thereby these physiological needs are no longer motivator for him. Then what motivates him? Now he will be motivated by the safety and security needs. Physiological needs are fine, but safety and security needs are the second needs which drives a person to work hard. So the safety and security needs are the second needs. Once these physiological needs are fulfilled, now second need is that he wants the safety and security of all these things which he have now, that he is getting it today, tomorrow also it should be available to him, and for that he will be working to for security, for safety. But once this safety and security needs are fulfilled, then this also will be no longer a motivator for him. Then what will be motivator? Then social needs. So once a physiological needs are fulfilled, they will no longer be motivated, but he will be motivated by safety and security needs. Once the safety and security needs are also fulfilled, then safety and security and physiological, both these needs will no longer be motivator for that person. Then what motivates that person? This is the social needs. Man or human being is a social animal. So he or she is not only working to satisfy their physiological needs or their safety and security needs, but they also wanted to love someone, and they also wanted to be loved by someone. They want recognition in the society that okay, this family exists in the society, this person exists in the society, and for recognition, for reward, for getting affection from the members of the society or family, he or she will be working. And that's why you will find that most of the employees who are in the middle level management, for them this money or monetary incentives are no longer a motivator, but some rewards, some recognitions are motivator for them, and that's why their names are displayed on the notice board of the organization, that employee of the month, performer of the month, because this gives them a kind of social recognition. You will also find that in the society, the persons who are newly rich, नए नए जो धनी होते हैं, they will be giving more donations to your nearby Durga Puja pandals. They want their name to be announced that Mr. So and so have given 50,000, 1 lakh, 5 lakh rupees for this particular Durga Puja, because they want recognition. They want that society should recognize that this person is actually a wealthy person. So this is the social needs. Then esteem and status need. Next need. Once the social need is fulfilled, then also it will not be no longer be a motivator for them. Then what else? So next is the esteem need or excellency, that they still the persons, they keep on working because they want that this esteem or status, that they want to be known for excellence in their field. Okay, that they are excellent, they are the persons who are extremely known for this particular job, they are a person who are excellent in their field. For example, now Virat Kohli, the captain of Indian cricket team, why actually he will be working? His physiological needs are fulfilled, his safety and security needs are fulfilled, his social needs are fulfilled. Now he is the husband of Anushka Sharma, so his needs are fulfilled, but still he is practicing day and night, he is working hard. Why? Because he wants that he should be known in the world of cricket for his contributions, that he is a person who is a symbol of excellence, who has contributed towards the development of the game of cricket, and that's why he will be working. He will be not working this basic level needs like social needs, security needs and physiological needs, they will no longer be motivator for him, but he will be motivated only for this excellency. And the fifth need is the self-actualization need. Self-actualization need, it means a person believes, a person thinks that he is capable of achieving something else also. A person is capable of doing something else. He has not contributed 100% to the society. He has not explored himself to its fullest, and still he is capable of doing something else. And remember, this self-fulfillment needs, actually it is there is a school of thought that the self-fulfillment needs, actually this is never achieved by a person in his lifetime, because the more he will try to achieve, actually that becomes esteem only, self-esteem only, and and he will be thinking, and there will be a level that he will be thinking that he is capable of contributing something else. For example, think of Amitabh Bachchan. Now you cannot say that he is working because of these physiological needs, he is working because of these security needs, he is working because of social needs, he is working because of esteem needs, because his people already know him that he is the Mahanayak of the century, Mahanayak of the millennium, so his esteem need is also fulfilled, but still he is working. Why? Because he thinks somewhere in his mind, at the back of his mind, he might be thinking that he is capable of contributing something else to the world of cinema, and that's why still he is working. Ravi Shastri or Sunil Gavaskar or Lata Mangeshkar, these are the people who have already achieved this first four objective, but still they are working because they think that they are capable of contributing something else from out of their life, which will be beneficial to the mankind, for the society, for themselves, and that's why this need is never achieved. So there is a hierarchy of the needs. Okay, so this is the hierarchy of the needs. So you'll see that at the bottom there is this physiological needs. This is the basic level needs: food, water, shelter, warmth. Then security, this is second need. Safety, employment, assets, social needs. Third need, family, friendship, intimacy, belonging. Then esteem need, self-worth, accomplishment, confidence, and this inner fulfillment. Any problem? Inner fulfillment, that a person thinks that he is capable of achieving something more, and this will be called self-actualization, which will never be achieved in its lifetime, because just before the death he or she will be kept on thinking that that person is capable of contributing something else, something more to the society. So that is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And now, once you understand this Maslow's hierarchy of needs, then all those questions that we have raised at the beginning, that what motivates Dhirubhai Ambani to go for a particular venture, or Mr. Agarwal, or Mr. Karsanbhai Patel, or Mr. Bansal to go for, now you will be getting the answer to all these questions, this motivation. Some persons were from the well-to-do family. Okay, but there is also a problem with this Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The needs that Maslow have identified, this first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, the needs are okay. These needs are okay, but his assumption that these needs follow a hierarchy, that may not be correct all the time. So it may be possible that a person, like maybe he will be going for his physiological needs first, and from physiological needs directly he will be trying to he will be motivated by the social needs, or from physiological needs he will be motivated by the esteem need, or he may start with the esteem needs, but later on in his life he may be thinking of security. Initially he may not be thinking of security because of his family support, or he may start with social needs, and then later on he may be thinking of this physiological needs. So this shift of the needs from one to another, it happens. So it may not always be following a chronological hierarchy. That is one limitation of this theory. Now the same thing that I have explained is now written over here. Let me read it. Maslow's theory assumes that a person attempts to satisfy the more basic needs before directing behavior towards satisfying upper level needs. Fine. Lower order needs must be satisfied before a higher order need begins to control a person's behavior. A satisfied need ceases to motivate